the home of the common Joe and the common Sally in the know, even more so than all those media talking heads. I've been getting this question a lot since I started this podcast. It really started about a year ago, this question, and that is, JPC, the OCF, why is it that it seems you, as an Alabama fan, have a second love in the Oklahoma Sooners? Well, I love college football in general. That's number one. I love most of the traditions and the pageantry that's associated with college football. I started reading Athens magazines way back in 1981 and got every single one of them. I'll share those with y'all one day. And, Oklahoma and Alabama have a lot in common. First of all, they're both crimson and cream, and crimson and white, a little bit off there. But they are genuine people, passionate people, and that's what I respect out of fan bases. You might be passionate, but you're not genuine. And genuine is most important to me, because being genuine, you may do something or say something that may turn out bad and may not have a good result, but there was good intentions there for the most part. Now, there's going to be occasions where there was bad intentions, but that's because in human nature, nobody's perfect. But that is epitomized with teams like Oklahoma and Alabama to me, because Oklahoma, you got these great characters speckled throughout their history, just like Alabama, with Bear Bryant, Barry Switzer, Gene Stallings, Bob Stoops, to now Nick Saban. And Barry Switzer had an interview the other day on 365 Sports. And while I don't agree with some of the things that Barry says, you got to admire the man for being genuine and saying exactly what he means and not biting his tongue. And that's very refreshing in today's society, where people tend to bite their tongue and bow down to cancel culture. Barry doesn't bow down to that. I can guarantee you that. But he had a lot of interesting things to say in that interview yesterday. Let's talk about it. Before we get to the festivities, I'd like to give a huge shout out to our newest Outlaw Posse member, Kill Back First. Great name. And our donors, who I should have been recognizing the whole time. I'm going to start doing this every week as well. Eric Mofield with a $4.99 donation, and Stink Ass Cat with a huge $20 donation. I'm going to try to think of some stuff for, give some rewards for members and donors and that kind of thing. You guys and gals drop in the comment section and tell me what you think about all that. This is the Outlaw of College Football. Academically speaking, that is the OCF. I'm also on Twitter at OCF Productions. Also, I can be located on Facebook under Jesse Paul Clark, spelled Jesse without the I. People asked me to bring it back, so I did. Now, getting right to it here, it seems like old Barry Switzer had a few interesting things to say in an interview, like Barry Switzer always does. Every time Barry Switzer is on the air, if I hear about it, must see or must listen to content from me anyway. And as I said in the lead up, Barry just comes across as a genuine person, a little rough around the edges, probably done some stuff in the past that he probably shouldn't have done, but haven't we all? Exactly. But old Barry Switzer was on 365 Sports, and he had a few interesting things to say. Got some notes here on Barry's time on 365 Sports. The thing that was really funny about the whole thing for me was at the end. Not to get ahead of myself, but sort of towards the end of the interview, his lawyers were pestering him about some kind of claim he had against State Farm to fix his roof. And right in the middle of the interview, Barry's like, smack talking the lawyers, like, hey, look, I'm doing something right now. I'll get you guys in a minute. Whereas, a normal person like me or you would probably like, hey, hold up. Do a little hand motion, whatnot. Not Barry. Barry's just going to be genuine and call it out. During this interview, he had a few interesting things to say about the NIL being the Wild Wild West. He was saying that he was glad that he didn't have to coach in today's football because of the NIL. He went on to say that, back in the day, players come and you play for university for 4 or 5 years, because if they didn't, they'd have to sit out a year, which means they would basically be out 2 years as far as playing. And while some of the stuff that Barry says is true and it's nostalgic and wish we could go back to some of those days, there's some stuff in there that the NCAA used to do that just wasn't good for college football. And the NCAA had came around a lot sooner and done some things in the past, instead of being straight up greedy, then you wouldn't have the NIL situation that you do today. And Barry sort of pointed that out. I keep trying to call him Gary. What the hell, man? Am I trying to say Gary Gibbs? Ooh, those are fighting words for Sooner fans, right? But anyway, Barry said that what they should do is give a $4,000 or $5,000 stipend to every single player on the 85-man roster. Then if you come in and you play more exceptionally well than all the other players, like if you get considered for the Heisman Trophy, you get on the All-American team, that kind of deal, well, then you get bonuses and perks for doing that. And at that point, you don't have as much jealousy amongst the players for other teammates that are making more money than them. Now, you're always going to have jealousy regardless. Even if they know deep down inside that player earned more money than them, you're still going to have jealousy. It's just like a car lot. If someone's out selling somebody, they're selling 5 cars per month, and the other person's only selling 1 car, yeah, they're going to get a bigger cut. They're going to get a bigger commission. And that person that only sold 1 car, they shouldn't be jealous, but they are. So for Barry to think that it's just going to curb all the jealousy is a little bit naive, but I get the point that he's making. Once again, like I said in the lead up, for the most part, Barry has good intentions. Maybe rough around the edges and rub you the wrong way, but he's got good intentions. Also, Barry was talking about the players didn't get paid back in the day and yada, yada, yada. Barry, come on now, man. I love you. I respect you, man. You're hardcore. You keep it real most of the time. But, let's be real here. Alabama, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Texas, USC, all of them have at some point in their history snuck those little $100 handshakes to players. Probably more than that. Jamel Holloway comes to mind. He had the big fur coat on. I think it was at the Orange Bowl where he might have been suspended or something. Bosworth, he had some issues as well. So, to say that players didn't get paid, players probably been getting paid since the 1930s when or the 1920s even, when the Rose Bowl became a big thing, was the de facto BCS game back in the day because there was no other bowls. They've been getting paid for quite some time, Barry. But I get what you mean. Now they're getting paid astronomically larger than what they were getting paid. And a $4,000 or $5,000 stipend by the NCAA probably could have saved them some of this headache. But now you got what you got. And it's all the NCAA's fault. And the only way they're going to fix this problem about being the Wild Wild West is to have a new organization take over. And I've said that numerous times, as well as one of my former podcast partners, Jonathan Lewis, used to say, you need to do away with the NCAA. Then, as they went on to talk to Barry, they was talking about a game between Dallas and San Francisco, and one of the guys that was interviewing him on 365 Sports was talking about how Barry remembered every little detail of that game that they lost to San Francisco, which prevented them from getting a second Super Bowl ring probably. And they were just amazed at how he just remembered the losses more than the wins. But hasn't that always been all the great coaches and all the great teams? They remember those losses. They stick in their craw. And the reason why is because of their greatness and their genuine passion and love to win at their chosen field. While that's what they took out of that, what I took out of it was, I think Barry's like in his mid-80s, right? I'm not sure of his age. I think he's between, 85 and 88 years old. The memory is what gets me. It's some people are just blessed with a great mind. Unlike Joe Biden, who can't remember how to get from the Rose Garden to the White House, Barry Switzer remembers every little fine detail of a game that happened almost 30 years ago. That's what amazed me about Barry Switzer, is his memory, which just speaks volumes to the great mind he had for college football. Also, a lot of Oklahoma fans, some Oklahoma fans have come to me and said, some of them that disagree with some of the things that Barry has said about Oklahoma fearing or Oklahoma not being ready for the SEC. They think that Barry's not really telling the whole truth about why he said that about Oklahoma. They think it's because he wants to protect his legacy. The legacy he built with the Big 8. He thinks that if Oklahoma goes in the SEC and builds a different legacy, then maybe that's going to take away from his legacy. It might be a little bit of that, but I think every great person or every great player or leader, they want their legacy to be remembered. They may not admit to that, but they do. And that's why they're great, because they want to be remembered. So there may be a little bit of some of that, but I think for the most part, Barry is, say about 80%, telling you exactly how he feels. And he's just said that in this interview as well, that Oklahoma is just going to have to come in and prove themselves. And that's the Captain Obvious thing that you would say. And Barry said that. I don't know why people would get mad at him for saying that, because it's obvious. Of course, Oklahoma's going to have to come in and prove themselves. Yes, Oklahoma, like he said, has beaten SEC teams in the past, like Alabama and Tennessee, but that was just one game. What they're going to have to prove themselves on, from what I'm getting from Barry, is that they need to prove themselves over the long haul, that they can beat SEC teams on a regularity more than just once a year. And that's why I like Oklahoma people, because of people like Barry Switzer, who mean what they say and usually say what they mean. And they don't let cancel culture make them bite their tongue. The people I hang out with here and watch football games with, the contingent of Alabama fans I watch the football game with, they all believe the same way I do about certain things. And then you have a contingent of the fan base, of every fan base, that, for lack of a better term, are just spastic about things. But there's other fan bases out there just like that. Ones that come to mind that I've met are LSU fans, South Carolina fans, Nebraska fans, all very genuine people with good intentions. But that's all I got to say about that today. If you don't mind, there's a little join option right here next to the subscribe button. Hit that join button. Join the Outlaw Posse for just $2.99 a month, 75 cents a week. And also, there's a little heart down here if you just want to do a one-time donation. Hit that heart. Throw me a few dollars in the coffers. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams. Class is now officially dismissed.